All right. Well, I did want to jump over to Dune because that has a lot of people talking.
Yeah.
Um, I guess just generally, what has been your experience working with Denny over the years?
He's he's very cool. He's a creative dude. I mean, I got to work pretty closely with him on like say Arrival.
Uh
I
huh.
was I was there every day with him, just him and I in an office, you know, uh, for a week or two, I think, something like that. Um, and it's just us sitting there talking and go and drawing in front of him as he would sit there reading and writing. Um, and it was a lot of fun, man. I mean, the guy allows me to go places. He has definite ideas that he wants to be explored, and you go there, and then he'll allow you to go. And he kind of let me do that. I didn't know that he was letting me do that on Dune, but he gave me some time to work on Dune at pre-production.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, I like Denny quite a bit. I mean,
On your Instagram, you mentioned that you worked on some of the sandworm stuff. I mean, what else did you do for Dune?
that's all that I was required to do because that's all that's going to be in creature wise. You know, in this one movie, it's
Right.
just the worms. So I spent some time and I came up with some ideas. I don't know if any of those are going to make it into the film because, like I said, I was hired on, you know, months before they actually started production, pre-production, I should say. So there was no crew. It was just Denny and I talking. He was getting off a plane, and he goes, "Carlos, I need you on this movie." And I'm like, "Okay." They're like, "What do you want me to do? Do the worm." I'm like, "Really?" He goes, "Yes." I'm like, "Okay." I guess so. You really want me to start now? He goes, "Yes, start now." I'm like, "All right."
And he didn't give you any guidelines, really. You were just able to go off and just.
Well, he said he wanted it to feel like a dinosaur. He wanted it
Uh-huh.
to feel very old, um, and which is difficult um, because it's a worm. You know,
Right.
there's not really a whole lot you can do with the worm. It's a worm, and unfortunately, those things that they put in the David Lynch film, I mean, they look like the cover of the book. So you kind of look at that and you're like, well, I mean, there's not really, this is done as well as it can be done. I mean, design wise, look at this. Unless we're going to change it, you know? And if we change it, we're going to get, trampled on by all the fans. So, people are literally going to come to my house and walk on me, you know? So I don't want to, I don't like changing characters that are established. So the worm. Look, thinking of the worm, I did write some ideas for it that I can't share because I don't know if they're going to use it. But it was from my understanding of what the sand trout are and how they become the worm. All that. Um, so I had ideas on how uh, the stages should look, for as they get bigger, you know, and become the giant sandworms that we see in the film. So, you know,
Yeah, well, we get a glimpse of the new worm in the trailer, and it looks fairly different than the Lynch version.
yeah, it's just a giant tube, which is different than the stuff that than Denny was liking,
Uh huh.
um, because he was really looking at and very married to some sketches they had done in with boards, right? That he showed me. That this is what he had some boards done with this one a guy that he uses on all his films, and I'm not getting his name out right now. Really nice kid. Not a kid anymore, but he's a nice guy, and they did some drawings that were I see why he liked them. I mean, they were cool, but the opening was very clean, right? And so there was a very clean opening, and in motion, that could look pretty cool, right? And I don't know why. When I saw what they did, I had played with the idea, but they really went there. Um, and the teeth are super long, like in that one shot that they have, and they're like baleen, the teeth, which to me makes a lot of sense because they would also be protectors of like a protecting door, so the sand doesn't necessarily go into the body. You know,
Mm-hmm.
um, I liked it. I actually think it's a very smart idea. You know, for it to have baleen type teeth all over it. Um, I had some other ideas for it that I mean I'll share once all this stuff is out.
I'm kind of surprised that the Guild Navigator is not in the movie.
Yeah, no, he's not. Trust me. I then he told me that when he told me that I just looked at him and go, "What?" And he goes, "Carlos, I know you're going to get mad at me, okay?" But it's too much. There's too much. We need to make it smaller so we can tell this story well. And I'm like, I know, but you can't do that, man. We got to put him in there. He goes, okay, well, do a design for him, and then maybe you change my mind. And I'm like, okay, and I did. And I went around and around, and I finally came to it. By the end of the week that I was allowed to work on it, right? And he saw it and he goes, Carlos, you found him. This is the navigator. And I'm like, okay, there it is. And he goes, so he's in, right? He goes, I can't promise. I'm like, what? Yeah.
Huh.
So I don't think it did though. Yeah, I mean I know for a fact it's not going to be in there, but it will be for the next film if this one does well.
Yeah, because he's been talking about the fact that he didn't sign on unless they were going to do at least 2 movies of this.
Right, which means that there's probably going to be 3.